Hi, Jay Fallon here. Thank you for listening to The Slippery Slope. So, I want to talk about, actually, I don't want to talk about it, but it's such a big story, the Balenciaga saga. This story it's a lot worse than we first thought. However, the joke it really does seem to be on the consumer and all of these dismayed Insta influencers who somehow just can't believe the depravity. But hasn't when you look back, hasn't Balenciaga been leaving us little breadcrumbs all this time? Now, listen, I admit I didn't know the brand's name until the story broke out. I had seen some of their outfits worn by Kim Kardashian, but I had no idea about the actual brand. I think I just noticed these outfits that she'd worn because they look so strange. They seemed a little bit off to me. But looking back at previous advertising campaigns now, it now seems blatantly obvious that the people involved with the brand are involved in some pretty sick and twisted activities. Reports now come out regarding the former Balenciaga stylist who's behind some gruesome photos of children. The, these shocking posts on Instagram and Twitter from this stylist Lotta Volkova depict a sickening obsession with torture, uh, Satan worship, and child mutilation. So, so now when we take an overview of all of these ad campaigns, and you look back at some of the other, some of the other campaigns with other people who are involved in this company, you can't help but see the common theme running through the Balenciaga brand, their clothing, and the fashion that it sells. In one campaign, you can see there's this stylized police tape sitting in the photo shoot and the photo shot, and you can see the brand name written on it, but the name is spelt Baal, Balenciaga. And Baal is the pagan deity who people used to sacrifice their children to this pagan god. So the common theme of the brand is it's beyond dark, it's beyond being morbid, it's just blatant Satan worship, and it's splashed with a tinge of sexualization of children. Just to remind you that children and the perversion of children is at the heart of satanic worship and occultic practices everywhere. But then the brand will have a celebrity like Kim Kardashian come out and dress up in one of their hideous outfits, and everyone, all the media, Hollywood supposedly overlooks these detestable ad campaigns, which have hints of pedophilia, and all they talk about is how edgy the fashion is, how edgy this outfit is that Kim Kardashian is wearing. And yet at the same time, Hollywood is leading the charge towards this depravity, and the world is following along with glee. Every now and then you have people will show some outrage, like with this story. But then once the main protagonist is taken out, something like what happened with Jeffrey Epstein. He's the main bad guy protagonist in the story. But once he is taken out by hanging himself, quote unquote, hanging himself, then everyone calms down. It's all's right in the world again because the bad guy, he's gone, and there's a sense of justice is served. We can forget about hundreds of other people involved in it because the main fella is taken out. But the depravity continues. The Satan worship continues. All the people involved in it, they just continue along doing their depraved actions. What I was listening to the amazing Lucas, and he was saying that he brought up a good point, which I definitely agree with. When our society first started hearing the argument from the LGBTQ rainbow community that people were born this way, then resistance started to fade. The argument is basically that men and women weren't choosing immorality, because immorality or morality is just it's a Bible concept. It's a biblical concept. It's a concept for Christians. But our society it cannot, and it will not accept morality. Instead, they push the argument that they were born this way. So they weren't choosing immorality. They weren't choosing an immoral lifestyle. They were born this way, so they can't help it. There's nothing they can do about it. And if you accept this argument that you were born this way, then you can't really argue against it. How can you disagree? The real concern is that once born this way was accepted for being gay, for being lesbian, for being bi, then it continues along the slippery slope. The gay or lesbian, I was born this way, bi, born this way. I'm in a polyamorous lifestyle because I was born this way. I'm trans, I'm queer, I'm non-binary, intersex, whatever all the other, they're all born this way. But where does it end? I like scenes of horror depicted with torture and mutilation of young children, the sexualization of young children. Hey, I was born this way. I'm attracted to animals. I was born this way. Can't help it. The term MAP, which is used in that community to describe minor attracted persons, which is just a nice way of saying you're a pedophile. But they can't help it. They were born this way. It's a little like that other term, love is love. But love is love. You can't deprive me of this. Love is love. You can't get angry at someone. You can't disagree with them because love is love. And you're a Christian. Love is love. Didn't Jesus tell you that you have to love? You have to love everyone? It doesn't make everything right. What if the person decides that they're in love with your 12-year-old daughter? Love is love. They're in love with your 10-year-old son. Hey, love is love. We have a world that thinks that the dismemberment of an unborn child is a woman's right to choose. Forget the rights of the baby. It's the woman's right to choose, because that's what our media, that's what our celebrities, that's what Hollywood tell us. Hollywood and celebrity brands, they play with satanic rituals and themes as though they're just some kind of plaything that they can pick up and put down whenever they get bored, because they believe in Satan, but they don't believe in the God of the Bible. God of the Bible is just mythology, because evolution is truth. That's what they tell us. But they do believe in Satan, satanic practices, and doing weird things, talking about the universe is in control. Yet the Bible describes the devil as an enemy. And he is an enemy who wants nothing less than to destroy you. And this is why the Bible warns Christians. Like in 1 Peter, chapter 5, he says, be sober, be vigilant, because your adversary, your enemy, your adversary, the devil, walks about like a roaring lion, seeking whom he may devour. He wants to devour all of these people who are playing with fire, thinking that they are edgy with their satanic rituals, depicting child mutilation, depicting all this depravity, telling everyone that it's all okay, it's all good, we can control all of this. There's nothing to see, there's nothing to worry about. I don't believe that Balenciaga is the full story. They are just the story that Hollywood puts out there in order to soften society's attitudes towards deeper and darker depravity. And unfortunately, I think we are going to see more deeper, darker filth come to light. Slowly, slowly, slowly. Because they are just getting people more and more used to this filth, the Satan worship, the child mutilation. There are more things to come. But if you're a Christian, I would encourage you, read your Bible more than ever. Pray more than ever. And if you don't know God, you need God. That is my opinion. Thank you for listening to The Slippery Slope.